a great man of his own, teacher, Kohanim Appleton.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom to all of you. I thank the Most High for the ability to be able to come before you yet again to share something from Scripture. I am also honored today to be able to stand before you and say that my mentor and surrogate father figure, Robert B. Holman Jr., is near and dear to me too. And I want to, matter of fact, give him a round of applause. He does an excellent job. He has mentored me in my walk, but I too wish to be pleasing in the sight of the Most High. I thank all of you for being here today. I'm going to give you my standard opening that I do all the time. Shabbat Shalom to all of you that are here, that are joining us by way of the stream. I extend to you the word of peace as a messenger from the Most High. I also say to all of our enemies who are watching by way of the stream, who want to debunk anything that we come up with in here. Again, I reiterate, none of us have arrived. We are all trying to learn, and we'll learn together. Okay? I want to, before I go any further, we tend to forget this as teachers here. I'm speaking for myself. Okay? Speaking for myself. To draw attention to Kevin R. Holman, we have music that is out. Go to iTunes, go to Spotify, download those songs. We have a book that's out in defense of the Messiah. Also, we have a music book that's out. We have social media. We have Twitter. We have all those different types of things. We need your help to broadcast this message and make friends and get it across the world. Okay? We need to go viral with this. The Most High's word needs to cover the earth, and it's lacking a little bit because it's getting drowned out by all the noise that's out there. Okay? So if you believe in what's happening here in this house, please, please, please share this on social media. Make sure it gets out there to all your friends, okay? Amin? Amin. Where's Zay at? Bacon, where's Zay at? I'm gonna need him. Come on up here, young man. Now, I'm gonna take another little turn today. Last week, we took a little turn. It's all right. You can stand right here. You're gonna preach today. You're gonna talk today. All right. Was you ready for this? Oh no, you wasn't. Okay. We're gonna do something a little different today to try to help explain some things that are going on in this first part of this text that when we get into Shoftim. I'm actually going to do something real quick. Why don't you introduce yourself? Your name is?
Isaiah Bickham.
All right. Isaiah Bickham. And you are what? You in high school?
Yes, sir.
All right. See that? Yes, sir. I like that. You make me feel like I'm old. I am going to do something today, and I'm going to talk while you're trying to do this, okay? You're pretty athletic, right? Right? You play foosball, water polo, volleyball, horseshoes. You do it all. Okay. I would say, if this is one of those things, follow me on Instagram. Tell them you Graham. Tell them you Graham. No, I ain't trying to do that. I have got some accoutrements here, and I'm going to outfit you with them. Okay? All right. We're going to do something here. Come right in the middle so they can see us. Got one more thing to grab up here. And what I'm going to do is and you're pretty athletic, so that's why I called you up here. All right? You're pretty athletic. So let's see what we got. Now, I'm going to need you to hold this mic while I'm doing something here. You have a box? The mic needs to be here. You have a box? No, you've never boxed before. Okay, come on. Hold out your hand.
I guess.
All right.
It's gonna work out.
It's gonna work out.
Yeah.
All right. Tie your hand up. Okay. Now, while I'm doing this, I'm going to explain what's going on in Shoftim because this is going to take me just a second to do. All right. Now, we just ended the book of what? Yahashua. Relax. Okay, relax. We just ended the book of Yahashua. And at the end of Yahashua, we witnessed Yahashua's death. We witnessed last time that I spoke, Yahashua giving his last instructions to whom? The children of Israel, right. And he was giving them sentiments to what? Remember what? The mitzvot. And he wrote them on a rock, and he had it right by a tree, right by the sanctuary. So the children of Israel witnessed against themselves, and they said, we will follow the word of the Most High. It's not too tight? Okay, good. Right? Right. Okay. We are transversing out of the book of Yahashua and into the book of Shoftim. Shoftim is the Hebrew word for the book of Judges. All right. Does anybody, well, we'll save that till when we get there. I'm going to give you a brief overview of what's going on here in Judges. Judges is what our head teacher would call his roller coaster book. I'm going to call it another R word, the relapse book. Think of a person, do you know, may have somebody that you're close to that may be an alcoholic, may have a substance abuse issue, and they seek help, and then they relapse, right? Sometimes that happens. All right. Okay. Now I got to do this. Somebody come on up here and help me, because I don't want to look like an idiot doing this while I'm wrapping this hand up. I'm looking right over here. See all these strong Hebrew men that's in here. All right. Thank you, sir. All right. All right. Now, what I need is that to stay right there. Okay? All right. Now, we get into the book of Shoftim. The first chapter of Shoftim is going to deal with a couple different issues. And is a good segue because if I was to redo these books, I'd actually put Shoftim as chapter number two, Shoftim number 1, chapter number 1, as verse number 25 of Yahashua. Because really what it does is it recaps a little bit what's happening at the end of Yahashua, and we have this transition that happens where Yahashua dies and we do not have a divine leader anymore. There is no divine leader in the house of Israel. And remember last time when I spoke, I showed you kind of a flow chart of hierarchy that happens in the house of Israel, correct? When we start with the mitzvot, and I showed you the Constitution of the United States, and I said the Constitution, and then it's what? Then it's the executive branch, the judicial branch, and the legislative branch. They're all broken up into 3 pieces. It says our Constitution is what? The mitzvot, right? That's what we follow by. That's our governing, the governance. So what we have in that first chapter is a good transition that shows the children of Israel not having a leader, and the Most High actually appoints one. Now, I don't want you to get it twisted. I'm an old man, but you better not throw a left hook in my face. All right? All right. Not too tight, right?
Nope.
Thumbs in, right?
Yep.
Okay. Now, this is what we're going to do. Thank you, sir. I want you to stand over there. Now, I'm going to give you a couple different things, all right? And I want you guys are going to be distracted a little bit because I'm going to be talking and you're going to be looking at him the whole entire time. This is Hebrews in Exile. That's the way I started off all the time. Don't it sound like that? This is my coveted Zildjian shirt. When I put this shirt on and I play the drums, I become a superhero. All right? I'm going to allow you to put this on so you can become a superhero. Okay? Go ahead and put that shirt on. It's my shirt. It's my shirt. Okay? Go put that shirt on. All right. Wait. Four fingers. All right. Chapter number 1. He's doing that pretty good, isn't he? He's moving through that pretty quick. All right. Chapter number 1. He's a superhero. Do you feel like you're energized now? Oh, you do. Wear that when you go out there and run 84 touchdowns next time. You'll be like, what was it? It was that Zildjian shirt. Like, it was anointed. That's how they do in the old church. The shirt's anointed. All right. Hungry? Yeah. Go ahead. Open that bag up for me. Good. I didn't say eat it. Simon didn't say. He did that pretty good too. He's actually destroying what I'm supposed to be explaining today. He's doing over and above what I wanted to have him do. One last one. If you were ever to give you this and you would show me how you would wash up, don't use that thumb. You wash up like that. That's how you wash up. How you get your back? How did you get your back? How would you get your back? Show us how you do your back. Come on, wash your back. All your back. Very good, very good. Now, what I wanted to try to explain here, or at least give you a visual here, I want to ask you a couple of questions. Was it easier to put that on with your thumbs or without it? Because I wrapped your thumbs up. Was it hard to take them and put the shirt on? It was very difficult. Not difficult, but it was a challenge, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Now, when it came to opening the bag of chips, you just put it into your hands, right? And just kind of ripped it apart. Now, back in the day, they didn't have Frito-Lay's chips in a bag. So that was probably a bad example on my part. But with the soap, washing up, you think that would have been a challenge? Now, I did you a favor and I didn't wet that soap up. Now, if that soap was wet, do you think you'd been able to get your back? You'd have been dropping the soap. Never drop the soap. Okay? Never drop the soap. All right. Now, chapter number 1, as I'm untying you, our overview goes something like this. Yahweh, you did an awesome job. Thank you. Yahweh, why don't you go ahead and take that over there? Thank you. Why don't you give him a round of applause? He did an awesome job. Chapter number 1 of, that's going to come back. Remember what just happened here, okay? It's going to come up pretty quick. Yahweh grants Yehuda victory over the Canaanite and the Pizarri. Yehuda captures Yerushalayim. Caleb gives his daughter and son-in-law additional land. The descendants of Moshe's wife settle in the land possessed by Yehuda. Yehuda helps the tribe of Shimon defeat the Canaanite. And the tribes that did not drive out the Canaanite inhabitants. Okay? So that's what happens in chapter number 1. Again, we're without a leader. The children of Israel, I want to actually let you know, as we go through this book, you need to look at the children of Israel like we are right now in exile. Think of when we do this entire book of Shoftim, that we are looking at ourselves in the mirror right now. Do we have a divine leader? Okay. One of the things that they had that we don't have right now is a Kohanim, a high priest, a Kohanim Hagadol. All right? So except for some subtle differences, look at this as being a mirror for where we're at right now. Let's go to chapter number 2. But again, it's a good segue chapter number 1. Chapter number 2 is the angel of Yahweh visits the children of Israel. We recap Yahushua's death and final resting spot, a generation that rose up that did not know the Most High. And then we also have Israel receives judges. So if we had to actually start the book of Shoftim, we would actually start it with chapter number 2, because that's when we have this great introduction. And then actually chapter number 3 and 4, we find out who our first judge is. Actually, you find out who your first judge is in this first chapter. Okay, but it's kind of hidden. All right, so let's get into it. Chapter number 1. Chapter number 1 starts out with the death of Yehoshua. It says, chapter number 1, verse 1, after the death of Yehoshua, Israel asked Yahweh. I'm looking at this dear brother right here with the bumblebee shoes on. That's cold-blooded. Now, I'm not cracking on you. I'm just telling you they're cold-blooded. All right. Because you know why I'm picking on you? And I'm picking on Trey for all of those that are watching by way of the stream. He's one of our cameramen. He's right here in smack dab in the middle. You know why I'm picking on you? Okay. Because you will ask questions and you will research a matter. That is your makeup. That is your character. Is it not? All right. So I'm thinking about you when I'm asking this. So think about this for a second. Let's go through this. It says, Israel went to Yahweh and said, who will go up for us and fight against the Canaanite? What question are you asking in that first sentence? What question would you ask? Who will, well, it's, yes, right here. Let's go through verse 1. It says, after the death of Yehoshua, the people of Israel asked Yahweh, who will go up for us and fight against the Canaanite? What question would you ask if you read that? Just trying to understand more about the text. Is there anything that's glaring that pops out? Okay, he said us. He'd be thinking about us. Here's what I thought about when I said that, when I looked at that. Because the one thing that I have to do as, oh boy, this is hard for me to say, as a teacher, is to always be cognizant of the mitzvot. In our podcast that we do, we read something from, who was it? Was it Ezekiel? And Ezekiel gave a dissertation, and he gave his dissertation, and all he was doing was naming mitzvot all throughout the dissertation. I saw a mitzvot in the very first sentence there. Okay? Not really, I shouldn't say not really a mitzvot, but something that happened to the children of Israel in the desert. Ask yourself the question, Yehoshua is gone. They don't have a divine leader. They're inquiring to whom? They asked Yahweh, but who is the intercessor that's going to ask? Let's think about the breastplate. Let's think about the breastplate. It's got 12 stones on it, right? Okay? My speculation is that the children of Israel, the heads of these clans, went to the Kohanim Hagadol because Eleazar just died and his son is now taking over. Okay? They would have went to the high priest and asked the question, who in the world is going to go and fight for us? How would they have gotten the answer? To the Thummim and the Urim. Let's go through that real quick. Shemot chapter number 28, verse 30. Where is that at? This is a way for the children. Now, this is my speculation. Now, one of the things we like to try to do in here and do it very diligently is to say, when I'm speaking in my own self, I'll designate that. Otherwise, I'm quoting directly from text. Okay? So this is me talking. I'm saying, I'm speculating this is what they did. Because in verse 30, it says, you are to put on the Urim and Thummim in the breastplate for judging. They will be for Aharon, they will be over Aharon's heart when he goes into the presence of Yahweh. Okay? This is a way for him to make good decisions about things concerning the children of Israel. So I'm asking myself the question, how did they ask the Most High? We don't have a leader in place. Who's the intercessor? Okay, this could have been one of the ways they could have done it. Most High, who in the world, look at the text, after the death of Yehoshua, the people of Israel asked Yahweh, how? That's what I'm trying to bring up here. Okay, we have another example of it in 1 Samuel chapter number 28, verse 6. And it reads, but when he consulted Yahweh, Yahweh didn't answer him. Let's go back up a verse or two. Yeah, right there. It says, when Shaul, what does that say? I'm missing the word there. Saw the army of the Philistine, he became afraid. It struck terror in his heart. But when he consulted Yahweh, Yahweh didn't answer him, not by dreams, not by the Urim, and not by the prophets. Okay? So a way of asking the Most High for things is through the Kohanim Hakakadol, through the Urim and the Thummim. Okay? That's underneath the breastplate. All right? So that's what I saw in that first chapter, at least that first verse right off of the bat. Hopefully you would agree. Yahweh said to Yehuda got designated to go and fight the Canaanite that were still in the land. They actually fought the Canaanite and killed 10,000 of them. They caught the king of this particular group that was in, let's read it here, of Bezek. Now, the king of Bezek was a guy by the name of Adonai Bezek, which simply means, in a kind of a layman vernacular, Lord of Bezek. They captured him and they cut off both of his big toes and both of his thumbs. Now think about that. This young man just came up here and I constricted his thumbs. It made it very difficult for him to do menial tasks like wash himself. Think about the things that these people would have been doing on a day-to-day basis. Drawing water. Things that are menial tasks now become extremely hard. On top of the fact that you probably couldn't walk. So he's been reduced. This king has been reduced to the point where he can only do things really kind of with some help. And it's very humbling for him. All right? Now, verse 7, it says, Adonai Bezek, as this portion ends out, as they cut off his fingers and cut off his thumbs and his big toes, says this. He says, I took 70 kings and I cut off their thumbs and their toes. And now the Most High has brought this same situation back on me. And they brought him over to Jerusalem, and that is where that man died. We're finishing up. Like I said, sounds like a lot of things that I'm going over right now should be at the end of Yahashua. Next section, verse 8 all the way through verse 10 really only speaks about really one issue, which is the children of Israel transversing and actually acquiescing the city of Jerusalem. And it tells you that they took the Negev and Shephelah and the Hebron, formerly known as Kirat Arba. Verse 11 is where I want you to pay close attention. 11 through 15. 11 through 15 is a regurgitation of Yahashua chapter 15, verses 15 through 19. It is almost a complete regurgitation of it. Right. In that particular book of Yahashua, chapter 15, we're talking about the land that was divided up and given to Yehuda. All right? And again, this is doubly equally important here because not only are we talking about Yehuda here again, transversing through the land and conquering for the children of Israel. They're kind of this tribe that steps up and steps to the plate and starts conquering as Yahashua did. But there's also something that happens in here too, and they regurgitate it. Caleb. Everybody know who Caleb is. Caleb was Yahashua's buddy. Caleb was the second spy. Let's send down 12 spies into the Philistine area. And how many came back with a bad report? 10 came back with a bad report. 2 of them actually came back with a good report, which was Yahashua and Caleb. Those are the only 2 individuals that transversed through the desert the 40 years and actually made it into the land. Everybody else died. Okay? And in this particular set of verses, 11 through 15, it is recounting the story, again, Yahashua chapter 15, verses 15 through 19, that talks about Caleb saying to someone in his tribe, matter of fact, someone in his tribe says, hey, if you are able to go up and conquer Kirat Sefer, anybody able to go up and conquer that territory, I will give that person my daughter in marriage. The person that actually steps up and was able to do that was a person by the, and I'm looking around the room and I'm getting ready to draft somebody. I don't want to draft you because you're looking at me. That's all. Because you were just looking at me. All right. He drafts somebody. No, but I am going to draft you. He drafts, doesn't say he drafts somebody. I'm getting ready to draft you for something. But someone that was able to go ahead and take the land was Caleb's had a brother, a younger brother. His younger brother had a son. And I want you to remember this because I need you to come back in 2 weeks when I talk. Because I'm going to look dead at you. And I'm going to say, who was the brother that conquered Kiret? Let's get it right. And I want to jack this name up. Kirat Sefer. The brother that conquered Kirat Sefer. All right? His name is Ontiel. Ontiel. All right? There's a reason why this is here. And you won't find that out until next time I talk. Ontiel. So this guy has been brought up in chapter 15 of Yehoshua. He's being brought up again in the same type of structure of text in 11 through 15 in Shoftim chapter 1. And he's going to come up again one more time. Ontiel. O-T-I-N apostrophe E-L. Ontiel. Ontiel is able to go and conquer this land, and he's given a wife, Caleb's daughter. And then there's the story about, or at least the text continues to go on, how they acquired extra land because she convinced him to go ask his new father-in-law for some extra pieces of land. Verse number 16 is interesting because the text in here drops in the issue of, what was his name? Ontiel. Ontiel. Othniel. O-T-N-I-E-L. Othniel. All right. In 16, we are actually going to see some folks here. It says next in verse 16, the descendants of the Keni, Moshe's father-in-law. Had another question to myself when I read that too. I said, oh, Moshe's father-in-law. Okay. It says, went out of the city of date palms with the people of Yehuda into the Yehuda desert, south of Arad, and they came and settled with the people. Now, this is what I'm thinking when I'm thinking of this. These people that came and settled, they weren't Hebrews. They were not Hebrews. Okay? Now, who were they? They give you a clue. It says next in verse 16, the descendants of the Keni, Moshe's father-in-law. Let's track the breadcrumbs on who these kinds of people are. Because I'm going to make a point here. Let's go to Shemot. Let's go and talk about our ancestor. We talked about Moshe and how he's this master teacher, and we look to him as a father figure. Let's learn about him a little bit. Matter of fact, I'm going to ask a question because I know you biblical scholars in here already know this already. So I'm going to ask, and I'm looking around the room here at some other folks because I already know Kohanim Harless knows. So let's ask this question. Does everybody know? Did you know who's Moshe's wife? Did Moshe have a wife? You don't know. He did. Okay, he did. How many kids did Moshe have? 2. Very good. All right. That's good. That's good. Because I'm glad that, see, I can't get anything over on you Hebrews. You Hebrews are too sharp. All right. Let's learn about Moshe a little bit. And let's go back and learn about our ancestor just a little bit. Let's recap. Shemot chapter 2, verse 11 through 21, and I'm going to read it in its entirety. One day when Moshe was a grown man, he went out to visit his kinsmen, and he watched them struggling at forced labor. He saw an Egyptian strike a Hebrew, one of his kinsmen. Who are his kinsmen? The tribe of Levi. All right. Okay, that's his kinsman, one of his kinsmen. Or you could say, if you want to be more broad, he struck, just like the text said, is he struck another Hebrew. Say, Sean, I object. Text doesn't say that. It was a Levi. It says that it was a Hebrew. Let's go with that. He looked this way and that, and when he saw that no one was around, he killed the Egyptian and hid his body in the sand. The next day, he went out and saw two Hebrew men fighting with each other. To the one in the wrong, he said, "Why are you hitting your companion?" He retorted, "Who appointed you ruler and judge over us? Do you intend to kill me the way that you killed the Egyptian?" Okay, we got two witnesses. All right. Moshe's in some deep water. Now we are in Mitzrayim, and Moshe knows that if he gets snitched on, he's a dead man. Moshe became frightened. Clearly, he thought, the matter has become known. When Pharaoh heard of it, he tried to have Moshe put to death, but Moshe fled from Pharaoh to live in the land of Midian. One day, he was sitting by the well. I'm trying to give you the backstory on Moshe's family, and I'm getting there right now. As he was sitting by the well, 7 daughters of the priest Midian came out. Okay. 7 daughters of the priest of Midian. So their father is who? A priest of Midian. Came to draw water. They had filled their troughs to the water. They filled the troughs to water their father's sheep. When the shepherds came and tried to drive them away, but Moshe got up and defended them. He then watered their sheep. When they came to Ruel, their father, that threw me a loop because I thought Moshe's father-in-law's name was Yithro. Okay? All right, let me give you an example. Okay? Okay? Just because there's places in text where people will have 2 names. Okay? I'm going to use one and I'm going to get my hand slapped for it because he's got a laser beam sitting right on dead on my chest. I'm surprised you don't see that red dot. Your head teacher's name is Robert, but his close friends may call him Bobby. 2 different names. I could have easily said, well, okay, that when they went to and they came to Bobby's, their father's house, like, well, okay, that's a different name than Robert. We all know that they're close, and that's where that comes from, like Richard and Dick, or William and Bill. That's a better one. Tony and Anthony. Okay. You know? So he has 2 names. So don't let that throw you off just because of the fact that the text here says they came to their father, they came to Ruel, their father, which is also in Shemot chapter 18, verse 1, and his name is Yithro there. Okay? Or in better known in the other vernaculars, Jethro. Okay? He said, "How come you're back so soon?" They answered, "An Egyptian has rescued us from the shepherds. More than that, he drew water for us and watered our sheep." He asked his daughters, "Where is he? Why did you leave the man there? Invite him to have something to eat." 21, verse 21. Moshe was glad to stay on with the man and gave Moshe his daughter. What's her name? Her name is Zipporah. That's her name. Moshe's wife's name is Zipporah. All right? Now, he gave Moshe his daughter Zipporah in marriage. She gave birth to, okay, we said that Moshe had 2 sons. Here's the name of the first one. And named him Gershom, which is foreigner there. For he said, "I have been a foreigner in a foreign land." Kohanim Harless got up here a while ago and talked about names mean something. We got a problem as Hebrew Israel because y'all will name your kids anything. Hennessy, Nautica, Tommy Hilfiger, all these names that don't mean anything. Mercedes, Aston Martin. I'm not coming over here. I know that's not that. I'm not trying to do that because I know your dad gonna come over and kick my butt. Okay? Shaniqua Kwan. Okay? Naming folks names that don't mean anything. These names mean something, okay? And this particular son's name, Gershom, means foreigner there. Let's go to Bamidbar chapter number 12, verse 1. Now we know about Moshe's what? His wife, and we know about one of his sons' name is Gershom. All right? Let's learn about who she is. This ties back into my dissertation in Shoftim when we talk about that these people were not Hebrew. All right? Bamidbar chapter 12, verse 1 says, Miriam and Aharon began criticizing their brother Moshe on the account of the Ethiopian woman that he had married. For he had in fact married an Ethiopian woman. I'm proving a point here that says just because you're melanated doesn't mean that you're Hebrew. Okay? Let's get that squared away. This is what you're going to find out when you're reading this text. So when you try to find out who were these people, it says the Keni settled with the tribe of Yehuda. Who were the Keni? The Keni were Ethiopians. They settled with the tribe of Yehuda. All right? So we know what her ethnicity is. She's an Ethiopian woman. Shemot, chapter number 18, verses 1 through 4. Let's find out about the second son. So we know about Moshe's family at least. Let's finish that out. Shemot, chapter 18, verses 1 through 4. Now Yitro, now there's that name. I said Yitro, the priest of Midian, Moshe's father-in-law, heard about all that Yahweh had done for Moshe and Israel, his people. Now Yahweh had brought Israel out of Egypt after Moshe had sent away his wife Zipporah and her two sons. We don't know what the other name is. We're going to find that out. Yitro, Moshe's father-in-law, had taken them back. The name of the one son was Gershom. For Moshe had said, I have been a foreigner in a foreign land. The name of the other was Eliezer. My Yahweh helps, because the Yahweh of my father helped me by rescuing me from Pharaoh's sword. So we know the names of Moshe's, his family members. I only bring that up because, again, it's just good to review and have that backstory and information. It's a lot of information that's here. It's kind of tough to pull something maybe out new, but again, it's always good to review, all right? Going back to Shoftim chapter, and I am skipping, woo, my goodness, I'm skipping all my notes on this board. All my notes on this board. Is that my next one? No, it's not. I'm going to go to Bob. Oh, where are you at? Come on back here. You notice how every time everybody get up at the board and we start fiddling with it, we talk to ourselves. Come on, board. Do something. Go left. Go right. Go, dadgummit. All right. Verse number 17. This is where we actually have Yehuda is now makes a pact. We're understanding now that the children of Israel went to the Most High, said, who's going to fight for us? There's still some Canaanite in the land. Who's going to do it? Who's going to do it? The tribe of Yehuda. Now, Yehuda actually goes into a pact with his brother Shimon. I have a speculation. I'm going to step on my speculation box one more time as to why Shimon is selected. Come on. Oh, there they are. There they are. I'm going to tell you something. There's a dear brother that's in here that's on the worship team with me that is about it. Okay? I ain't even gonna look over there. He is about it. Okay? For real. For real. For real, for real. Yes, he is about it. He's the one that says, hey, listen, I'm down to ride. If they want to come against me and mine, let's go. I don't got a problem with it. You got a little some of that in you. Snatch you in a heartbeat. Okay? I have a speculation as to why he went to Shimon, because Shimon is one of those folks that's, listen, you messed. Hold on, stand up, Johan. They messed with my sister. They messed with my sister. That's it. I don't need no explanation. Let's go. And I'm going to hurt you in the spot where it hurt you the most. I'm going to get you where it hurt you the most. Okay? Him and his brother. All right? I also speculated when I talked to you a couple of many Rosh Chodeshes ago about how this individual was left in prison in Mitzrayim when he told all the brothers to go back and bring back Benjamin. And I said the reason why that he did that was because Shimon was probably the ringleader that said, throw Joseph in that cistern and let him die there. This dude is a no-nonsense dude. This tribe has something about him that says, let's roll. Okay? So he goes to his brother Shimon and they make a pact. And they start driving out all of the Canaanite that's in the land. But I actually want to underline something that's in verse 19. If we go back to Shoftim, chapter 1, verse 19. It says, Yahweh said to Yehuda, and they took possession of the hill country because they could not drive out the inhabitants of the valley since they had iron chariots. And actually, I'm going to get on my soapbox here for a second. There's something that they were told to do that they still haven't done yet before they get into the land by Moshe and by Yehoshua. Let's read it. Bad Midbar. Yahweh spoke to Moshe in the plains of Moab, of the Jordan, across from Jericho. He said to the people of Israel, when you cross the Jordan into the land of the Canaanite, who are we fighting? The Canaanite. Right now, that's who Yehuda and Shimon are driving out, the Canaanite. You are to expel all the people living in the land from you and in front of you. Let me read that again because you missed that part. You are to expel all, not some, not the ones that we feel compassionate about, not the goldfish, not the dog, not the giraffe that's living in the backyard, not your pet turtle. Okay? Everybody. When you cross the Jordan, you are to expel all the people living in the land from in front of you. Destroy all of their stone figures, destroy all their metal statues, and demolish their high places. Drive out the inhabitants of the land and live in it, for I have given the land to you to possess. What did I just read in 19? Shoftim 19, I said they could not drive out the inhabitants of the valley since they had iron chariots. I'm going to talk about something. I'm going to speculate one more time. I got one more speculation for you. Let's consider where we're at today. I want to encourage. I thought that this was going to come at the end and the Most High was going to give this to me at the end, but he's giving it to me now. Do you all realize as Hebrews in exile that you are completely unique from what is going on in text? Let me break this down how. The children of Israel, I'm going to start slow. The children of Israel had a Kohanim Hagadol, right? We don't. All right? The children of Israel have been presented with other Elohims like we have. Okay? What's unique about us is at no point in history, in text, tell me if I'm wrong, look it up. I stand here waiting for correction. If it is in text and I've missed it, we've never experienced the children of Israel being exiled from the land, being away from the Most High, and having another people say that we're the children of Israel. This is a new set of criteria that we're living in this day and age right now. Where in text do you ever see another people or the Canaanite or anybody else in the land saying, you're not the children of Israel? We are. This is unique for this dispensation of time. This is something that has never been written before. We're all going to experience something new. What does that mean? It says these guys were afraid because they had iron chariots. Think about now, if right now the Most High were to send us a messenger and send us a divine leader, and we woke up and we said, let's go back and take the land. Do you honestly believe that the United States and the folks living in Israel right now would not put up a fight? Do you think a bunch of us would be sitting back talking about how in the world we don't have any weapons, we don't have any tanks, we don't have any aircraft, we don't have any drones? How in the world are we going to go take the land? Think about that for a second. Present day right now, get yourself out of the text right now, okay? And think about the awesome power that your Yahweh is going to have to do on your behalf to get you back there. Unless y'all Negroes got some secret reserve somewhere I don't know about, please let me know. Because I need a couple pistols myself. But what I'm saying is that the Most High is going to have to make a move. You see what happened to what? Russia came in there and started invading the Ukraine. All these other countries teamed up. Do you honestly believe that a bunch of melanated people marching back to take that land over there are actually going to be posed with no opposition from the world? We're talking about people that are in the land. We're not talking about the world coming after you. Think about the unique situation we are in. The Most High is getting ready to show you how big his biceps are. Understand that. Hopefully that resonates. We are living in a time that's like no other for the children of Israel. And I'm going to tell you something. I made the mention in this last podcast. I said, you know what? The Most High has made it so we're in exile right now that I'm going to tell you the mentality of you stiff-necked, hard-headed, stubborn folk. He has given us a position where he's reduced the mitzvot that we're supposed to learn, and we can't even get those right. We got a bunch of mitzvot that are out here. All of them there are in play. But we can only do so many outside the land, and we can't even do that right. This is why, and I'm going to say, I'm going to step on Ezekiel right now, because I said it before. Why you? Why you? If you know what I just told you about our ancestors and how they act, they funny acting, they fickle. Oh, let me go over this prosperity gospel. Oh, they got something. Oh, you can make money over here. That's how we are. We'll follow after anything. If it's hot, if it's charismatic at the time, everybody's doing it. Why can't we do it? You see the trait of you melanated Hebrew folk? Why are you always trying to be like somebody else? You can't have your own originality. You can't have your own style. Nobody's came and telling you that you had your own Elohim. Your Elohim has been the Elohim of somebody else. The Muslims have an Elohim. The folks that follow Krishna have an Elohim. There's an Elohim that's blue, that looks like a Smurf, that has 8 arms. The folk that follow that, they got an Elohim. Okay? Where's yours? Ah, that's right. You have to go through another nation in order to find yours. I'm asking Hebrew Israel to wake up. You have one already. Come up to present time right now and understand something. Your Elohim created what's shining outside. He gave you that Rosh Chodesh. He put that breath in you and everybody in here. And you follow after somebody that got beat and died, that went on a suicide mission to come here. You did know that, right? I am God, and I'm going to come to earth to kill myself. I went on a suicide mission. For what? For a bunch of folk that still don't believe? This is ridiculous. We always chasing after somebody else. You need to be original. Let's start there. Okay? Everywhere we go on this. Oh boy, I don't want to turn this into a Black Panther rally. All right, let's go on. Because I'm setting this up because as we end chapter 1, chapter 1's basically over at this particular point because there's only 2 tribes that actually, and I'm going to go through them real quick. Matter of fact, let's just do it. Starting with verse number 20, back chapter number 1, Shoftim. We learned that Yehuda drove out from there the 3 sons of Anak. So we learned that Yehuda, that tribe, was successful in their area to drive all the Canaanite out. So they were successful. All right. We go to verse number 21. We find out it says right there, the people of Benjamin did not drive them out. So Benjamin didn't do it. Yosef, in verse number 22, says, likewise attacked Bethel. Yahweh was with them. Okay. So Yosef was successful in driving the people out. But when we drop down to verse number 27, we see that it says Manasseh did not drive out the inhabitants. Verse number 29, Ephraim did not drive out the Canaanite. Verse number 30, Zebulun did not drive out the inhabitants. Verse number 31, Asher did not drive out the inhabitants. Verse number 33, Naphtali didn't drive out the inhabitants. And then we find out again that Imri forced the people of Dan into the hills. So the only 2 tribes that were able to drive, and we can't count Levi, okay, because they don't have an inheritance. I always got to remember that. The only 2 tribes that were successful in doing it was Yosef and Yehuda. That's a horrible ratio, folk. Yeah. And where my mind actually went with that, because off camera, what it says is they stayed together. They did for the most part. And it doesn't surprise me that when those 2 tribes split into the northern and southern kingdoms, that Yehuda is the one in the south. I'm not saying that those 2 issues are even closely related. I'm just saying would be a nice coincidence if that was the case. But we all know the reason why they split, and that was over a decision about a king that was getting ready to be crowned at the particular time. But that's for another day. Chapter number 2 of the book of Shoftim, and this is the last chapter. We're only covering these 2 chapters today. The children of Israel, now this is where this starts to go awry. The children of Israel allow these people to stay with them, all right? They allow them to stay with them, and now because we have this issue where the children of Israel are very susceptible to influence, they are very weak when it comes to peer pressure, we're going to start to see this infusing of these other nations influencing the children of Israel away from Yahweh. Now, chapter 2, verse 1, it says, the angel of Yahweh came up from Gilgal to Bochim. I'm going to tell you what I thought about this right there in verse number 1. I said, this angel, who was this angel? I don't necessarily know the name of the angel, but I'm speculating here that this angel was the same angel that was with Moshe in the desert. Shoftim, or I should say, did I say Shoftim? Shoftim chapter 2, verse 1 through 3. I brought you out of Egypt. This is what the angel of Yahweh said to the children of Israel. I brought you up out of Egypt, led you. Okay, there we go. Led you to the land I swore to your fathers and said, I will never break my covenant with you. For your part are not to make any covenant with the inhabitants of this land, but must tear it down their altars. However, you have paid no attention to what I've said. At least they're consistent. What is this you have done? This is why I also said, I will not drive them out before you, but they will be on your flanks, and their gods will become a snare for you. I referenced Shemot chapter 23, verses 20 through 22 that talk about this angel. That says that this angel was the one that was with Moshe. Now, we also understand that when the cloud was over the tent of meeting, the children of Israel rested while they were in the desert, right? They didn't move. When they saw that black or whatever color cloud that was over the tent of meeting, they didn't move. They said, okay, we're going to stay here. This is where we're going to camp. When the cloud lifted, it's time to move to a different spot. How did they know where to go? They followed it, and they followed that angel that was with them, right? He tells them, matter of fact, let's just read it. Shemot chapter 23, verses 20 through 22. Says, I am sending an angel ahead of you to guard you on the way. So this angel is with Moshe the whole entire time. He's not doing it by himself. What an excellent place to be. If I had to say, okay, if somebody walked in here right now and says, I'm the messenger and I'm here to take the children of Israel, I'd be really trying to weigh that against what's in text. Okay? Because I need to see some precursors to your validity, sir. All right? I'm the Messiah and I'm getting ready to die for you. You do that. Okay. I am sending an angel ahead of you to guard you on the way and bring you to a place where I have prepared. Pay attention to him. Listen to what he says and do not rebel against him, because he will not forgive any wrongdoing of yours, since my name resides in him. But if you listen to what he says and do everything I tell you, then I will be an enemy to your enemies and a foe to your foes. When the angel goes ahead of you and brings you into the Emori, the Hittite, the Pizari, the Canaanite, that's what we're talking about, the Hivi and the Yusufi, I will make an end of them. Children of Israel, when I send my messenger, do you see what our charge is right now? This is a beautiful place. We may not be able to see the turn to the children of Israel in our time frame. But what we're doing is getting you this ground pliable in the children of Israel so you can accept when the Most High sends a messenger, what that criteria needs to be, and when we go back into the land. All right? Your battery's getting ready to die. But that's all right. I'm good. You turn me back up. All right. We need to be able to understand that when that happens, we need to be ready and what precursors we need to look out for. Because the Most High is going to do all the delivering. Yeah. It says 24. You are not to worship their gods, serve them, or follow their practices. Rather, you are to demolish them completely and smash their standing stones to pieces. The Most High continues to keep giving us instructions on what's happening. These children, these knuckleheads we call Hebrews, decide they want to do something else. All right? Now, like I said before, when we are hot for the Most High, we are hot for the Most High. When we are off, we are completely off. All the way off. Let's get back. Chapter number 2, Shoftim, we start picking up in verse number 4. It says, the angel of Yahweh spoke the words to the children of Israel. And what did the children of Israel do? They heard the message and they fell prostrate and started crying. So they called that place Bokim, which means crying. verses 6 all the way through verse number 9 in this chapter deals with Yehoshua in his final resting spot and where he was buried. He was buried on his property. He was 110 years old. And in this particular set of verses, what it talks about is, again, giving you a timeline. When the children of Israel with Yehoshua and Eleazar, they served the Most High diligently. They even served the Most High after the death of Yehoshua and Eleazar because the elders were still around. And they were doing what? Which we're not doing right now. In your 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and 11 o'clock service. What's not being taught? The mitzvot. Nobody is teaching them. Or they are teaching them, and they are not doing any of them. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thank you for reading the marriage vows. They're a part of the mitzvot, but those are the marriage vows. Your mitzvot don't show up until Shemot chapter number 34. Maybe you should go read those. Because it says at the end of them, the 10 commandments. So the commandments you think you're reading are not the 10 commandments. The real 10 commandments have a lot to do with those mitzvot, have a lot to do with the moedims and festivals. And amongst some other things. That's what we have is just a short little recap of what happened with the death of Yehoshua. Verse 10 picks up and says this, and this is where we kind of get into this issue with the children of Israel. Verse 10 says, when that entire generation had been gathered to the ancestors, Yehoshua, the Haggadol, all the elders, everybody that remembered what happened in Mitzrayim and at least remember what happened in Mitzrayim, all of those individuals, when they died, another generation rose that knew neither Yahweh nor the work that had been done for Israel. This tells me one thing, that our turn as Hebrew Israel is quick as one generation. It does not have to take. Now, I keep saying I might not see it in my lifetime, because I just know how we are as a people. Some people are Jesus only, and that's all they're going to believe. I just want to be saved. Right? That's all they believe in. Every time someone tells me that, I'm thinking to myself, saved from what? They want to be saved from what? Sin. They want to be saved from hell. All right? They don't want to go to hell. You know hell is 2 doors down from Disneyland, right? It's a place that don't exist. Okay? I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to prove it to you. Have you heard me say this? I'm going to prove it to you. In the beginning, Yahweh created the heavens and the earth. In those 6 days, he tells you that he created the separation. He gathered all the water together. He gathered all the land together. He created that big ball of fire outside and the smaller light. He created the stars. He created all the things that are older than humankind, which are animals and trees. They were created on the day prior to us. Did you know that? That animals and trees and plants have been on this planet, or on this earth, longer than humans have. Okay? It's in text. Go read it. You weren't created until the 6th day, the day of man. So you mean to tell me in all 6 days, the Most High never mentions making hell? He said he mentioned making heaven. Where's hell? It's never mentioned, is it? Oh, okay. All right, for all you smarty pants. All right, you smarty pants is out there. Well, he didn't need to create it because they didn't eat from the tree yet. They didn't eat from the tree yet, and they didn't eat the apple from the tree. Right? Well, when they ate from that tree. He never mentions it then. He mentions all of the curses. Every woman in here who has a child knows what that's about. He mentions women will now be able to give birth in pain. Men, we are going to work from the sweat of our brows. We got to work this land. You, Mr. Serpent, who used to talk because animals did talk. Okay? I'm going to tell you something. They had a brain and they could think because it says that that serpent was the most cunning out of all of them. That means that he actually sat back and said, I'm going to see what this pimping is going to be about over here. I'm going to see what's up. I'm going to spit some game with this chick. See what's up with her. Check this out. Come here, sweetheart. Let me see with the pimping real quick. Let me show you what's up. Did your man tell you that you was going to die that day? That's not what your man said. You sexy as all get out. You know that, right? This is a guy that's cunning. All right? This is an animal that's cunning. She's a guy. This is an animal that's cunning. We go through all of those individual situations, curses, and we don't mention hell. Nowhere. When you Christians like to transliterate that word, Sheol, and mean that it's hell, that's not what that means. That means Sheol is the grave. That place that you can go visit where people went on Memorial Day to put flowers at. That's what that is. That's the grave. When it says, my anger goes to the depths of Sheol, that means that my anger goes so far as it's deep into the ground. That's how deep my anger is. As deep as the grave. Not deep as hell. Hell doesn't show up until we get into the Greek document when Hades and Thor and all of Zeus and the rest of them all show up. Hermes during that particular time. It is a Greek concept that shows up in the New Testament. Now, there's nothing to be afraid of if I just dispel the idea that you have nothing. If your idea is to be saved from hell, then you're not being saved for the right reason. Or you're not looking in the right spot. You're not giving the right information. Have somebody debunked what I just said. Go find it in our Hebrew text where it talks about hell and put it in its proper context, which you won't be able to do. Because what you're going to do is you're going to springboard off and then talk about some prosperity gospel on how you can make money next week. Because that don't preach nowhere. Because if the only reason you're in here is to have your ticket punched so you don't go to hell, and I just got rid of that, then what are we doing here? Take your butt home, stop giving your Hebrew tithe to that pastor who wants to misquote what the scripture says, because you don't have to tithe. Tithing is for Hebrews. That is a mitzvah. So when they want to tell you it's done away with, say, oh, okay, so is my money. My money is done away with too. Let's get some things straight, because nobody's going to end up telling you this. And that is what our job is in this dispensation of time, is to shake you and wake you up. I can't tell you anything if you're asleep. That doesn't mean that you're going to start doing the mitzvot. I got to wake you up first. Get you out of your slumber. Wipe them eye grits off your face so you can see what's in text. Now, verse 10. Man, woo. Wow. Where did that come from? Verse 10, chapter 2. An entire generation followed or went awry and didn't follow the Most High in the Most High's perspective. I wanted to underline that in verse 11, where it says, then the people of Israel did what was evil from Yahweh's perspective and served Baalam. Now, I underlined here in my notes, Yahweh's perspective, not their perspective. Okay? We have to understand that you'll sugarcoat your own mess. You'll go take a crap and put a whole bunch of sugar on and put the rug over top of it to cover up your own stink. Okay? This is by the standards of the Most High, not the children of Israel. And they started serving after Baalam. Now, let me give you some perspective. Baalam actually shows up a lot. Baalam would be, if it were today, Christianity. Think of it like that. Because what's the most prevalent religion on the face of the planet right now? Or face of the world right now? I get that planet thing out of my mouth. Christianity is the number one. This religion or paganism was the biggest thing going at that particular time, which is Ba'alam. Let's learn about Ba'alam. It's been talked about before, but I'm going to go over it one more time for redundancy. Ba'alam, just listen. According to a Canaanite mythology, Baal was the son of El, the chief god, and Ashrei, the goddess of the sea. So he had a mother and a father. Baal was considered the most powerful of all gods, eclipsing El. This is who your ancestors were following, who was seen as rather, let me go back and say that again. Baal was considered the most powerful of all gods, eclipsing El, who was seen as rather weak and ineffective. In various battles, Baal defeated Yam, the god of the sea, and Mot, the god of death and the underworld. Baal's sister consorts with Ashtoreth, the fertility goddess, associated with the stars, and Anath, the goddess of love and war. The Canaanites worshipped Baal as the sun god and as the storm god. He is usually depicted holding a lightning bolt. I am Zeus. Holding a lightning bolt, who defeated the enemies and produced crops. They also worshipped him as a fertility god who provided children. Baal worship was rooted in sensuality and involved ritualistic prostitution in the temple. When your head teacher gets to this issue of prostitution, he will probably talk about this, because there's two kinds of prostitution that's in the mitzvos. There's the one that we're all familiar with. You might be, where there's the person, because prostitution was done by men and females. The ones for those that were selling themselves outside, and then there was the ones that were selling themselves for in the temple. And text, there's mitzvos that talk about each one of them. Okay? Now, Baal required a human sacrifice, usually the firstborn of the one making the sacrifice. You can find this in Jeremiah chapter 19, verse 5. The priests of Baal appealed to their god in rites and wild abandonment, which included loud cries and self-inflicted injury. That's in 1 Kings chapter 18, verses 28. You can find that. And I believe that was the same pagan god that these individuals, who was I think that was the god that they were praying to, where he says to him, maybe your God is not listening. Maybe he's taking a vacation. Maybe he's on the toilet. Maybe he's taking a potty. Maybe he's taking a rest. So that's Baal. Verse 12 in Shoftim says, they abandoned Yahweh, the Elohim of their fathers that had brought them out of Mitzrayim, and started following the Elohims of the people around them. And this made Yahweh very angry. Now, I'm going to do something real quick. You're going to hear this come out on the podcast this week. And I'm going to recount something that happened to me personally. But before I do that, I want to go into this Ashtaroth. Because at the end of 13, it says, they abandoned Yahweh and served Baal and the Asheroth. The Asheroth is the moon goddess of the Phoenicians, representing the passive principle in nature, the principal female deity, frequently associated with the name Baal, the sun god, their chief male deity. This can be found in Judges chapter 10, verse 6, 1 Samuel chapter 7, verse 4, and 12 through 10. The names often occurred in plural forms, Baalam or Ashtaroth, probably indicating either their different statutes or different modifications of the deities. This deity is spoken of as Ashtaroth of the Zidonians. She was Ishtar of the Akkadians and Astarte of the Greeks, which is Easter. You can find also these references in Yeramehu 44:17, 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 5, 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 33, and 2 Kings chapter 23 and 13. You can find all of those there. Now, I want to jump back up to 12, and I'm going to pretty much be done after I go ahead getting through this and then talking about our introduction to the judges. All right. It said that verse 12, and maybe this is why the Most High gave this to me so I can pontificate about it now. Verse 12, it says, they abandoned Yahweh, the Elohim of their fathers who had brought them out of the land of Mitzrayim, and followed their other Elohims, selected from the Elohims of the peoples around them and worshiped them. This made Yahweh angry. I had shared in a podcast with our teacher, I confided in him. This is what they do on YouTube. They call it story time. I'd say about a week or so ago, week and a half ago, I had a dream that disturbed the living goodness out of me. I want to reiterate to you, what I'm getting ready to tell you is a dream. What I'm getting ready to tell you is a dream. What I'm getting ready to tell you is going to be a little morbid, okay? But it is a dream. I was in my dream, and I was sleeping in my dream, and I was awakened by rustling in my house. Those of you that know how my house is set up, I have a second floor, and the master bedroom is in the back. I'm sleeping in my bed in this dream, and I'm awakened by rustling that's going on downstairs in my house. I go downstairs in my house, and I find my wife shuffling in back through the door. I confront her about this particular issue. Said, sweetheart, it is 4 a.m. What are you doing coming in at 4 a.m? She proceeds to tell me I was just over a friend's house. I was just over a guy friend's house, and we were just talking. Come on, guys. Come on. Your wife comes home at 4 a.m, comes from some other dude's house, and she's telling you that they were just, the first thing out of her mouth is, we were just talking. I query her about this in a fashion that continues to get me angrier and angrier and angrier. To the point, this is where this turns morbid, to the point where if you know my character and you know my demeanor, this is going to sound weird, to the point where I got so mad at her that I started choking her out. Right in the kitchen, on the kitchen floor. Putting my hands around my wife's neck and trying to inflict as much pain as I could on her. I backed off. I went out of the house. I went out of the house and went down the street and took a walk. Came back even more furious. I said, tell me the truth. What were you doing? Yeah. Now, as I'm asking her these questions, she's not emotional. She's just matter of fact about it. Like, yeah. I was over there, and yeah, I did say that we were just talking, but we did a little bit more than that. We were having coitus. Anybody know what that is? Okay, I don't need to, for these young ears in here. And we're talking about a dream. We're still in a dream, okay? We're still in a dream. And I said to myself, this is what this is about. This is not what this has become. At this particular point, when she had said that, I put her in a headlock. And I was dragging her across the floor. This woman is not fighting me. She's not fighting me at all. To the point where I'm just like, I'm not getting the reaction that I want out of her, so I just let loose. I immediately silent and I leave the premise. Get away. I got away. I wake up from this dream and I'm completely upset. Because if you know my demeanor, I am not that way. We have a rule that we don't do that in my house. And if you know my wife, she ain't gonna let you put my hands on her any kind of way. You and her will be having some furniture moving up in that house if you decide you want to put your hands on her. So this is not in her character at all. And it's not in mine either. When I immediately arose from this dream, about maybe 45 seconds, because I was so afraid and scared. I was like, is there something inside me that I don't know about subconsciously that is going to lead me to do something I don't want to do? That's what I'm thinking. Now, I want you to know, again, as soon as I got done having this revelation, I told my wife this. She was the first person I told. We sat on the stairs and we had a good talk about this whole entire thing. And I told her, I said, I'm okay. And I said, you know why I'm okay? I said I'm okay because the Most High gave me 45 seconds after that. I was distraught and I was so messed up in my spirit that I couldn't even move, that he told me what that dream was about. He said, do you think that that dream was about you doing something to your wife? He said, that dream was about me and my anger against the children of Israel, because they have decided that they wanted to go do something with some other Elohim. The anger that I felt in that dream, how I wanted to choke my wife out. Have we not been chastised by the Most High and we've done nothing? We have done absolutely nothing. We have let the Most High kick our butts up and down the street, and we don't have no qualms about it. He said, son, if you think that that dream was about you, that was wrong. I'm showing you this because I want you to now understand what it feels like to have that level of anger inside you about your wife. We are the wife of the children of, or we are the wife of the Most High. And I'm here to tell you, your Elohim is not pleased with you. He is not talking to us because we have abandoned these mitzvot. It was something so cathartic. I told our head teacher, I said, I'm an individual that will research everything to the letter, to the T, to the best of my ability. I said, but the one thing I was missing was the passion that was behind all of this. And I didn't receive that until I got that in that dream. The passion of what the Most High is feeling about his wife. Now I know what it is. I know how that's embodied in a person. I know what rage feels like. And I don't ever want to be out of sorts with the Most High. After that situation, I said, oh, you gave me a real good wake-up call. You gave me a wake-up call. The children of Israel need to know that the Most High is angry. He's done everything he can to get your attention. He's turned a blind eye to us. That's why I had to stop here at verse number 12 and say this to you and read it out loud and say, they abandoned Yahweh, the Elohim of their fathers who had brought them out of the land of Mitzrayim, and followed other Elohims, selected from the Elohims from the peoples around them and worshiped them. This made Yahweh angry. I hope you are hearing the heat coming off of this. This is serious as a heart attack. I know what you're talking about. I'm trying to move, but I can't. You guys don't, you would have had to have been there in that dream to understand the fury. And that's a place that I never want to ever be in the sight of the Most High. Ever in my life. If that is my decree, And I fall extremely short of trying to do the mitzvot and teach the mitzvot. I never, hopefully the Most High understands my heart, is that I tried. And I don't ever want to be in a place where he is that angry at me or my family. I have a duty as the head of my household to make sure that my family is protected. That the things that the Most High has imparted into me, that at least that household is in order. If nobody else's is, that's my job as a man of that house. There's no amount of yelling, no amount of pontification that I'm going to do. You have to experience it for yourself. And the best way that I can try to make you understand is to clear the minutia out of your mind and just read the text. Understand the spirit of your Yahweh, the sincerity, the things that the Most High wants to give you, the place that he wants to put you. I can't yell enough. I'll lose my voice. I can't beat on the ground enough. I can't be on social media everywhere. It's a move of the Most High in the appropriate time. I can only do so much. We are at the forefront of that, and we need to be a united community of people moving in that direction. Thank the Most High. I thank the Most High. Praise the mighty name of Yahweh. Boy. Verse 16. And all the way through the end of the chapter of Shoftim, chapter 2. Israel is now in a place with the Most High where the Most High decides to raise up a judge to rescue them. But when the Most High raised up this judge, they didn't pay attention to what this judge had to say. Sometimes it says in verse 17, it says, yet they did not pay attention to the judge, but made themselves whores to other Elohims and worshiped them. Our problem to this day. The Most High allowed the judge in some instances to be raised up, and the children of Israel followed after the judge in some instances. But right after that, they relapsed and went right back into their old ways. This is a great introduction to what the book of Shoftim is all about. It is about the relapse of getting in front, getting a divine judge in front of them, the children of Israel having these conquering battles. Wait till we get to that young man's name. Oh, your eyes got big, didn't they? That young man's name is Gideon. Gideon is a mighty man of valor, a mighty conqueror for the children of Israel. We are going to have some fun with Gideon when we get there. But the chapter ends in a way to say that, listen, the Most High raised these judges up, and since the children of Israel, when they relapsed, did not listen, they went back into this way of being, with the Most High being angry at them. And then we end the chapter with verse number 23 when it says, so Yahweh allowed the nations to remain where they were without quickly driving them out. He did not hand them over to Yehoshua. So there were people that were still in the land that the children of Israel didn't drive out. And because of that, they were influenced, followed back in the ways of those individuals. Even when a judge was brought up, the judge is, again, that divine leader that's going to step into the gap, tell the children of Israel that they need to repent and turn back to the Most High. They do. And then as soon as the judge is out of the picture, they go back to doing what they're doing. Does that sound familiar? So if you were to hear what I just said, where are we at in that cycle? We are in the cycle of we cried out to the Most High. The Most High sent somebody a while ago, and then he shut it off. Until we cry out again as a nation of people, as a culture and nation of people, we are not going to hear from the Most High. And he'll send a messenger. He'll send a messenger. And that's what happens over there when you get across the street at 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and then 11 o'clock service when they talk about this guy came, and when you do the smell test on him, he didn't fit. Kind of like Johnny Cochran. If it doesn't fit, then you must acquit. Okay? And that's the way we end Judges or Shoftim chapter 2, which is the end of my dissertation. I want to admonish all of you, and I want to end off with this before I go ahead and give the Arianic benediction to everybody. I am going to stop at this particular point. This is my own personal feeling about it. I'm going to stop at this particular point of referring to the children of Israel as the children of Israel or the nation of Israel. Because I don't think that word nation, gives us justice. I am going to start using words that are ostentatious, words that are very gargantuan, words that show the paragon of resplendence of the children of Israel, our gravitas. It is not the children of Israel, the nation of Israel, it is the empire of the children of Israel, it is the dynasty of the children of Israel. See how much that's royalty. When I just call you the children, that means you're a bunch of kids. You're a child. You're not a royal people. That's what it gives you the subconscious of. We are a dynasty of people. When they talk about what? The Ming dynasty? They talk about the dynasty and the empire of Rome, the majesticness of that. They even talk about the majesticness of Mitzrayim in all its glory. Why do we just simply get called children? You are a dynasty and an epic group of people that need to learn to understand that you have an empire. And until you start using terms that associate you with your ostentatiousness, you'll continue to keep thinking yourself as a child. It is an empire. It is a powerful nation, and we're backed by Yahweh, the Elohim that has created all things. Don't take that lightly. Don't take it lightly at all. As I end today, again, I want to direct your attention again to our social media. We need to get this information out to everybody. Go to our Facebook, go to our YouTube, go to Podbean, we have a premium channel where these videos are now coming out. We have music written by Kevin. We have all these resources for we to be an all-inclusive in-house group where we don't have to listen or look after anybody else. Let's get the information out. Again, I echo the sentiment to everybody. Happy Father's Day if you are a father in here. I say happy Father's Day to the greatest father known to anybody, which is whom? Yahweh. We never want to leave him out. So, with all that, I say to you, Yivarekaka Yahweh v'yishmareka. Yair Yahweh panav eleka v'huneka, Yisa Yahweh panav eleka v'yasam laka shalom. Which means, in English, may Yahweh bless you and keep you. May Yahweh make his face to shine on you and show you his, not the Canaanese favor, not Yeshua's favor, not some other God's favor, but his favor. May Yahweh lift up his face towards you and give you shalom. And to that I say to you, all my friends and Hebrew brethren that are here with me today and viewing by way of the stream, shalom.